his perspective I've never really heard. He's like, if we just make it like, look, you have to tune in every day. It's almost like, hey, today we have a magic bullet for you. You better come back tomorrow or everything will go haywire. Everything I create is for all the dreamers and doers. I want to give them that joyful confidence that Jesus offers us a better way to life, and he offers us a better way to lead. You did something so good. I'm literally about to meet with like 20 pastors in an hour. And I was like, I'd love to talk to him before this because they're like, what should we do content-wise, right? And you said church leaders are quickly creating far more content than people can consume in a helpful or healthy way. What did you mean by that? I loved it, but I don't even fully know what you mean, but it resonated in my soul.
Well, in the end, our apprenticeship, we have to live life at a speed that allows us to abide with Jesus. So that we can engage in practices that help us form faith. That's what God's doing, is he's transforming our faith.
Right.
He's maturing, broadening, deepening our willingness and ability to trust him.
Right.
And so in the end, the answer to the question, what should we be creating? Well, create what Jesus wants you to create. Do what Jesus wants you to do. And don't do any more, don't do any less. And so we really need to be discerning here, and so it's helpful. I love that guys are coming to you. They should. You've got so much experience, and you've put so many hours in here. I'm asking around, and this is an opportunity for us as pastors to actually engage with people, right? To talk about where they are, not directly, hey, would you like for me to produce a daily devotion? No, not that. It's just more, how are you? And then finding ways to get at the surface level stuff, and then to begin to just dive deeper into going, okay, well, maybe they do need to interact with the scriptures more. Maybe we need to create frameworks for them. So when I did this last week for our church, I said, I just need to get some clarity for people. I need to give them some boundaries here and some clarity for them to operate out of, so they're not scrambling thinking, oh, that one more piece of content is that's going to be the magic trick. That's going to be the last variable in the formula that's going to bring this all together.
His perspective I've never really heard. He's like, if we just make it like, look, you have to tune in every day. It's almost like, hey, today we have a magic bullet for you. Better come back tomorrow or everything will go haywire. As pastors, as shepherds, our job has always been, let's set up and establish rhythms. We're here to walk alongside of you. But at the end of the day, this is your opportunity to take care of yourself, right? To disciple yourself, to lead your family. And so in some sense, maybe some of us are making our people too busy in this season. What if God is using this to really slow us down and we're not letting that happen? We've talked a lot at our church, God uses active spirituality, and we're a very active culture, but God also uses passive spirituality, where he's teaching us the most effective thing you can do during this plague is to stay home and do nothing. And so many times in our Christian life, the most effective thing we can do is actually to allow God do all the work, and we actually just sit back and rest. And so that's been my heartbeat the past year for our church and the practices. And I'm a little bit ashamed of myself that I've been thinking, throughout the week, the last couple of weeks, man, I got to get them to do this. I got to get them to do that, and kind of prove to get them to still stay active. What if this is what God exactly wants us to do? So I think we have to balance all those things.
We have a tendency to go, I don't want to be a personality-driven church or a personality-driven leader. Sir, you are in the pulpit 50 times a year. If you're not leaning into your personality some, you are losing one of your greatest tools that you have. And I agree with what you said, Trey. People need connection, not consumption. However, in my life experience thus far, I have come to the conclusion that people do not go where they need, they go where they want, and people want to consume. And I would just encourage you to remember, your people are going somewhere. The people in your community are going somewhere. So be there and be present, be in front of your folks. God didn't call you because you're someone that people easily get sick of. If God called you to preach, there must be something about you where he said, I can trust that what I've put in this individual, I can put in front of people and they will receive from him. And I just want to say that as a word to every single one of you. People will receive from you. So go out there and make a big impact. Make a splash right now. Do something fantastic. Don't pull back. Don't let the fear, don't let the inadequacy bother you. I don't care if you do it with a webcam, a DSLR, a television studio camera, smoke signals. That might actually be the best way to do it right now. Smoke signals. So go, just do it.
Oh, happy Tuesday, everybody. A lot of really good progress on my sermon prep, which is so good for the soul, because last week it was terrible in the sermon prep. One thought, really needing to distinguish the difference, hold on, darling, between self-care and self-comfort. Self-care is what we all need in the long term. Small things, like I'm actually picking weeds right now, trying to make the backyard better, because we're done now. But self-comfort is good in the temporary. I've been giving myself the grace of having dessert a couple nights this week, but in the long term, that would have a lot of damage. And so it's helpful to know the difference there, to lean into self-comfort, but not too much. This new normal, I don't think will be normal for long, but it's setting in. Doggy! That job done. Really thankful I have a job that's, first of all, essential, but also pretty isolated. Charlie Mitchell, he's making me step up my game, man. He had this challenge. I know you're gonna see this a little bit later into April, but check out this challenge that I am going to be doing.
You know, just feeling the burden this morning for the folks around me, and came up with this idea. I think I'm gonna call it Pray 100. Pray 100. And so the goal is this. I'm going to make it my goal in the month of April to prayer walk 100 miles.
In the month of April, I plan on walking a grand total of 100 miles, all while praying for the people of Queen Creek and Santan Valley. Help me pray for you more specifically by filling out the form at the link below. Embarking on mile 2 of today's 3.3 mile walk to get to Pray 100. And I really think you would know this by now, but I think the title of weekly DocumenTrey 004 is Embrace Your Place. And I think we need to embrace our leadership position. God has placed you in the influence you have for a reason. Step up in this moment. I've had so many leaders message me that they're insecure, that they're scared to really tap into video and bless their people. Embrace it. We've already talked about that on Monday. I also think, though, on the flip side, we need to embrace this place of suffering. I don't think we're helpful as leaders by ignoring our current reality. And I think it shows, I learned this in Reappearing Church by Mark Sayers, but secularism has made us believe the lie that we are on a trajectory towards utopia. And I think this has hopefully stripped us of that narrative. We recognize no matter how much we advance technologically, medically, educationally, there's still a small molecule that can tear it all apart. So I think as leaders, we need to embrace that and recognize we are on this side of the kingdom. Kingdom is here on this world, you know, the kingdom of God is here already, but not yet in its entirety. We need to embrace that. And so what I think that means for us is we need to embrace grieving. We need to embrace the theology that includes suffering. Embrace the place God has us. I think he wants us to use this as an opportunity to repent, to grieve, to long for the coming King. We just finished recording. I decided to record Friday, that way we can actually have a day of rest on Saturday. And Faith is so pumped about that, huh? She came up to me, I'm so excited that we get to rest tomorrow. I get to be with you tomorrow.
Taking the day off.
Made me feel terrible inside, okay? But Caleb, I was shoveling this morning and I thought of a brilliant quarantine event. Here is an idea for all you pastors out there and for my church folks. Listen, I want to do a Brady brunch. So it's a Zoom call, and so like on next Saturday at like noon or 11:30 or something, we all just make waffles and pancakes from our home and hang out and have a little Devo and a little chat. The Brady brunch. Come on. Okay. And I'm just gonna say the phrase. I want you to know if you can fully figure out what it's about, okay? The Brady brunch.
We all eat brunch over Zoom?
Boom! See? Oh, right away. She had no idea. She's like, that's cool, but like, why the Brady Bunch? Like, what's that have to do with anything?
It's because when you put all the Zoom pictures together, everybody can point up and sideways.
Ah, praise God.
It's from an old TV show. I don't know if you've seen it, but it was...
She had no
I know
idea.
what the Brady Bunch is, and I didn't know that was like the opening of the movie.
It's like the only thing people know about Brady Bunch is the theme song and the...
You like waved.
Well, now that he says it, I'm like, oh, okay, now I can picture that. But before...
But I thought, like, how cool. People would literally know just by saying Brady Brunch. Oh, they get it. Like, we're going to have breakfast at around noon, and we're going to Zoom chat.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I don't know if it's... We're going to try it.
Let's do it.
No.
All right. Did we have a great day?
Yeah.
Hanging out, right?
Yeah.
Daddy, what did we do? Okay, stop this, Salem. Hey! Put my phone down. What'd we do? What movie did we watch?
We watched
2 movies. Which one? What's the first one?
First one was
Dr. Doolittle.
Dr. Dolittle.
And then the second one?
Shrek.
Which one did you like more?
Dr. Dolittle.
Really?
Yeah, because I just like it.
You just want to be a pet doctor?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a fun day today? Was it fun having time with Daddy? So good. Sabbath, we've done nothing but hang out all day.
Oh, watch me run super fast.
All right, go for it. Let me say that this way. This is what it means for us practically. I think in this season for our church, we need to embrace the practice of slowing. Embrace slowing. We've been talking about this a little bit as a church, but it's really, really hard to love when you're in a hurry. And so I'm trying to figure out, how do I change this? How do I change the rhythms? In fact, Paul, when he says in 1 Corinthians 13, remember what's the first way he defines agape love? Love is patient. Again, Henry Nouwen, it's not on the screen, but he has this quote that's really good, really Twitter-worthy. He says, I used to complain about all the interruptions to my work until I realized that these interruptions were my work. And y'all know if you have kids at home right now, there are way more interruptions during your work hours than normal. And so I think we need to in this season to slow down. I think for a couple reasons. One, we're actually in a better place to serve, like we're more restful, but also it gives us the eyes to see the needs around us. If we're bulldozing, we actually don't see, we're in a proud culture, and so I think a lot of our people aren't going to be asking for help, but they'll need help. And if we're slow enough, we examine our relationships enough, we'll notice the people who need to be served in this moment and how can they be served intentionally. Here's the reality. If we're not a slowing church, we won't be a restful church. And if we aren't a restful church, all that's left for us is for us to be a resentful church. And I think that's exactly the opposite of the vision God lays forth for us in the whole Bible, but especially here in Mark 10. Why Easter? Why Palm Sunday? He came to receive what you and I deserve. And why are we excited? Because of that, because of the resurrection, we get to receive what Jesus deserved. And that changes the whole ball game. That makes us at Passion Creek, what's our disposition? It's determined. We're willing to embrace suffering because we know that death itself can't stop us. We have a God of the resurrection. What's our identity? It's not within, it's not without, it's with Him. And we're willing to embrace that substitution, that reversal that Jesus promised at the cross and resurrection. And we don't serve with a resentful heart. We're not keeping tallies because we have been forgiven of so much. We have received what Jesus deserves. So of course, we're not going to lord that over people. We're going to offer this forgiveness, and we're going to do so in a loving way. We're going to embrace slowing and slowly but surely be patient with everybody, whatever they're at in their journey, and share this love that we have with the Father. And again, I want to encourage you, embrace all these things, but number one, may it be so that all of us embrace salvation. Embrace this great reversal. That wasn't just a rehearsal, because a few days later, Jesus made it a reality for you, and He made it a reality for me.